Hi, this is Dr. Victoria Nalule. I'm the CEO of Nalule Energy and Minerals Consultancy. So, in today's discussion, I want to talk about the different research methods that PhD students or even master's students can use in their research, in their thesis, or in their PhD proposals and PhD thesis or research. So first, Happy New Year. This is my first video after the New Year's. Happy 2023. And the video was requested for by Mr. Abdurrahman. He's originally from Somalia, but he's currently a PhD student at the Center for Energy, Petroleum, Mineral and Policy at the University of Dundee. So he requested me to do this video yesterday. So today, here I am doing a video on research methods. So I'm a lawyer by background, and as such, I will focus on the qualitative research methods. But first, there are different methods of carrying out your research. You can use the qualitative methods, you can use the quantitative methods, or you can use a mixed method where you can use both qualitative and quantitative. So from my own experience, I've always used the qualitative research method because I'm not good with numbers. And the qualitative method is focused on non-numerical texts. So we don't really deal with numbers, but rather we review the literature, look at the concepts, and use different methods to get our research. So I'm going to refer to my book. This is the book on land law and extractive industries, and I'll tell you what I used in carrying out research for this book. But make sure you get the book. So I used the qualitative research methods, and with the qualitative research methods, there are different methods you can employ to get your research. Remember, it's non-numerical, so there are no numbers. And you can use surveys, you can use case studies, focus group discussions, observation, interviews. So I used all those in my research for this book, even for my PhD. So let's start by understanding how you can carry out good research. The first thing you have to do is know your topic. Which topic do you want to focus on? And that topic should not be broad. Now, for instance, I'm an energy and mining expert, but I can't have a topic that is talking about energy law as a topic because that's broad. The energy sector is broad. So, what exactly in the energy sector do you want to talk about? I'll give an example. Now, this book is focused on the extractive industries, but I look at land law and the extractive industries, challenges and opportunities in Africa. So from this book, from the title, you would know that whereas there are many issues that are characterized in the extractive industries, my focus is on land law. And I'm focusing at the challenges and opportunities. And now the most important thing, looking at the region or the focus of the region or case study, I'm looking at Africa. So your topic has to be focused so that you do not get confused discussing other things that are not related to your topic. And once you have a focused topic, now you have to look for ways to get the material, the research, to carry out the research that is going to help you out. Now, in this book, I used the qualitative research method, and how I got my research or my material. First, I got case studies. Now I'm really getting focused on a particular countries in Africa because I can't discuss Africa as a whole. So you would notice that I first in chapter 1 I talk about an introduction to land law and the extractive industries. And As I'm talking about land law, I focus on countries like South Africa and Namibia because they have the minerals, they have the resources, but they also have an interesting history when it comes to land ownership. So throughout chapter 1, I look at the case studies of South Africa, Namibia, and Botswana. And now I bring in the theoretical framework. Which theory am I using when I'm discussing my work? I use the justice theory. And the justice theory is it's really wide, it's large. For people who are involved in the energy sector, you know about the energy justice theory and you know what encompasses the energy justice theory. But may I discuss the justice theory from the land perspective, talking about land justice. So that is the theory I'm going to use. But I'll first expound on the justice theory and see how I can connect it to my work. Land justice. Justice as a concept, does it apply when people are accessing land for the extractive industries? So that will be the main question. And also, as you are thinking about your research methodology, you also have to first agree on the research questions. That will be another discussion. But once you have your research questions, and then you use the methodology to try to answer the questions. So I've already talked about the theoretical framework, and here I use the justice theory. So I expound on it to really analyze, is there justice when people are accessing land for the extractive industries? Now, as I'm trying to answer that question, I used case studies. I look at the different laws of the countries I selected. I've already told you about some of the countries. So that's one thing about case studies. Interviews, because initially I've done like different interviews in different mining communities, and the interviews they're all available on my YouTube channel. So the material I got from the interviews or the responses I got from the interviews, I also use them in this book and I quote my videos. But I mean, like if you're doing research and you've carried out interviews, obviously you need to quote the responses from the interviews. That's another thing. And then other people can use focus groups. You can get like a group of affected communities, depending on what you're really talking about, or a group of experts if you want to expound more on a theory in your research and you use that. Now, the most important thing moving forward is the comparative analysis as a method. Because remember, if you're looking at more than one country, that would be a comparative analysis. But you need to ask yourself, what exactly are you comparing? Because comparison is not just saying that, okay, I'm going to look at, let's say, Kenya, Uganda, and the USA, or the UK and Somalia. Why exactly are you picking those countries? So as you're expounding on that research methodology, now we're talking about the comparative analysis, you identify what exactly are you going to compare. Are you going to compare the legal framework? Are you going to compare the institution framework? Are you going to compare how these countries are implementing the relevant laws? Or are you going to compare how communities are affected by the land injustices? So you need to be very clear with what you are comparing, and then you outline it throughout the research. So research methodology, it's a wide concept, but you need to agree from the beginning what you want to use. Now, in my own experience, let me just talk about myself. I've always focused on the qualitative research method. I use case studies, and as I'm using case studies, I employ the comparative analysis methodology to really analyze the case studies. And then I do interviews. I also do surveys. I do lots of surveys, like the project we have just finalized for the extractive transparency initiative, the EITI. We use the survey as a methodology where you send out questions to different people. And then focus groups, the work we have finalized with the international law. Association for the white paper on energy, we used focus groups. We got a group of experts and we sent them questions. So that's basically it. It's not complicated as long as you know exactly what you want to look at. And if you're using a theoretical framework, what theory do you want to look at? Why exactly are you going for that theory? In this book, I use the justice theory and I expound on the issues of land justice in the extractive industries. In my book, my first book on energy access, I use the energy access theory, you know. So you're depending on your research, because I don't know what you're writing about, but depending on your research, you should always be able to get a methodology that works for you, and then you have to stick with that methodology. So this is video number 1. If you need more help, if you want me to respond to more questions, please feel free. Thank you. Happy New Year. Don't forget to involve us at Name Energy and also get all my books. Bye bye.